Moondrop. See, I did a thing. Keep myself tethered to the brace I tried to lose. Alright. Pause. My EMs. So I got that whole table behind me and I pull them out randomly and I decide to take them on a journey for a weekend or a day. See as IMs do. And, Moondrop. Alright. Chinese characters. Chinese. Fingerprints, apparently. Wow. Wow. So, I mean, not the greatest packaging I've ever seen. That bag is like the stiffest, little chinky, rinky, dinky. Just, I don't even know when it says Moondrop, but only in Chinese. And then it comes with tips, and the tips are not great. They're like silicone, white and clear silicone. I tried them, and I ended up going back to my Dakoni tips, which are like my default. And you get all these cards and things and quality control assurances, and it shows you how to put it in bag. How to put bag. There's an introduction piece of paper. Where is it? Separate. That's all Chinese. Yeah, that's all Chinese. It's just all Chinese. And so you get it. It's like, are these going to be any good? They're only a single 10mm driver. They're not like the BGV and PBD DM6s were like a 5 driver with a 4 and like a 1 dynamic, and we're like, and these costs like $180. So unboxing experience is less than what I would expect. I've been ruined by like the Tin T2s and the FIO FH5s and things like that. I'm sort of like taking that unboxing experience and it's like, But I'll say this. Once you actually hold them and you get your wipes out, because you're going to need it. Because you're going to be wiping out two things. You're going to be wiping fingerprints off of this white steel coated, let me see, what is it? Magnesium alloy casing. So they injection mold metal into this shape. Then they coat it in white steel, which gives you like chrome beyond the chrome that is possible. So it's legit metal, legit chrome, none of that plastic fake ass chrome that you see on things. And it's a single 10mm driver. And then the wire comes out, and the wire's like Tin T2 levels of like, wow, it's really well put together, and it's got the copper and the silver alternating, and it's got I'm using it out of the Quest style right now. It's very similar to the Tin T2's plug, only black and carbon fiber. We'll put you here. Put you there now. So, okay, the wire's good. It's got this little split. I don't know if that symbol is, I'm guessing that's Moondrop. That would be a better symbol for Moondrop, but we'll go with this. Alright, so that's your split, and it goes into 2 wires, and it's actually a 3-wire weave. So that makes this a 6-wire. And they loop over the ear, and they're actually relatively weighty. Like, these might be some of the heaviest IMs I've played. I feel their weight. They are the metal. And you're like, all right, well, let's change the tips so they fit properly in there, and you clean them off, and you go. Let's see, how do I make it go? I'm gonna put them back in for a second. Have you seen them for enough for a bit? Because I really want to get my point across when I talk about how these sound. How the fuck are they expensive sounding? I don't know if that was a thing. Like, I've heard good things, bad things, bassy things, but these exude quality through a single 10mm driver. When was the last time I did a single any millimeter IM? Everything's, even the FH5 was dual driver. The tins, I think, are single driver, right? I love those. So, but these are 3+ times the price, so you'd think that it would have some sort, but it does say it has multiple chambers, and it is made out of cast metal, and it's like, These are the next step up from the tin T2s. Anyone who's wondering, is it the FH5s, Zeos? No, there's finally something in the middle. It's like, I want to buy an IEM, I want it cheap. $50 cheap to you? If $50 cheap to you, you get the tin T2s, linked in the description. T2 Pros, a little more treble. Tin T3s are another option. I still prefer the sound of the tin T2s. And then it's like, well, now what do I get if I want to upgrade from that? Because I've gotten that question. Since I've started doing IEMs a little more regularly, I'm getting that question. And it's... I don't have enough experience out there in the world of IEMs. And once I started playing with my table and I started going through, okay, these are okay, these are bass cannons, okay, these have too much treble. And you get to these... And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, that's next. That's the sound you're looking for. Because it... When I'm at a loss for words and I love something, it makes for a very strange review. Because I just start going, and then rubbing it until they're sold out on Amazon. So... Do they have sound? Let's start simple. Zeos, do they have soundstage? Yes. These absolutely have soundstage. Detachable wire, by the way. But stock cable, better than most headphones come with. And it would push the same power as most headphones would. Because you pretty much need to. I was running it on high gain on the Quest dial. And on quiet songs, I was at 95 out of 120. And on loud songs, it was like 82 out of 120. On high gain. Here I am on the 789. Now, granted, I'm on low gain, but I'm at nearly noon. Noon. That's asking for something. Now, I think what makes these amazing is the fact that where they describe what the driver is, because it's got a single 10mm driver in here. So they've got it in a double-sided enclosure, so it's actually literally like built like a little speaker inside of it. And it's made out of DLC. So no, not downloadable content. Diamond-like carbon. That's a thing? Metal injection molded with an N48 grade magnet, and it's made out of diamond-like carbon. So, like, if I take off the cover for these Vanitus, and I say, hey, what's that made out of? And someone will say, it's aluminum. And I'll be like, oh, really? Oh, it's probably like a vinyl. Is it made out of diamond-like carbon? And everyone go, what? So basically, the driver on these is made out of fake diamonds. And it's the first time I've ever heard of it. When I say you put it on, it just sounds like quality. It just sounds like a way higher end IEM than it should be. And I've listened to a couple now in the $500-$600 range. The entire Campfire audio line, everyone's jerking off about the BGVPs, and it's like, I would take these over the BGVP DM6s 100 times out of 100. Well, let's 99 times out of 100. I'm just going to give them that little benefit of the doubt. I may have gotten a borked set. People have talked to me about that. Sorry, housekeeping. The detail that these put out is... These are the ones I should have been comparing against the fucking Andromedas. These. Because I put them on, and only on the most sibilant of tracks, and I'm talking about sibilant, have I ever had to lower the volume just a touch, just a tiny little touch, because I was like, I don't know if I like the way that's making my ears feel lower. Every other time, fucking crank it. Crank that shit up to 9. And my friend was looking for something with wide soundstage and IEMs and solid low end, like really like pounding low end. And it's like FH5s. And he's like, well, what about the Kanas? You have the Kanas Moondrops? And that's when I actually pulled them out and started listening to them. And these do not have pounding low end. But they have low end. They have probably some of the most neutral sound I've heard at the even close to this price range. Under $200. So $250 gets you the FH5s. which gives you extremely wide soundstage and thumping bass. But if you want something a little more neutral, but not Shure. See, that's the thing. All the Shure IMs I've ever listened to have always been, the word is fucking boring. Like, there's neutrality, and then there's neutrality, and then there's fucking boring, and that's what every Shure IM has ever been. The Shure 1540s, one of the most beautifully built, well-designed pair of headphones I've ever touched. Fucking boring. I love the pads. I've got 2 sets of the pads. They're $40 a fucking set. And it's just, I love the pads. I love the build. I wish it didn't sound like they did. Move on. The 840s, the cheap ones, are the ones I recommend. Every Shure IM I've listened to is like, oh, that's very neutral. It sounds like I'm driving a 97 Honda Accord at 48 miles an hour. Oh, look, it's doing this great. Where's the excitement? So with these, there isn't elevated treble. There isn't elevated bass. The mid-range isn't recessed. The soundstage, while you could pick it apart and have it be wide in some songs, isn't like exaggerated. The actual tonality of vocals is pretty much spot on. There's no like real weird phasing that's going on with female or male vocals. Imaging is a stellar, fucking stellar imaging. And I hold them in my hands and they're like, well, these are heavy. They don't feel heavy when they're in your ears. They wrap over. If you get the right tips on, I'm going to suggest, if you already own these or you're planning on buying them, I will link the Tacony tips. They're my favorite tip, not because Tacony sent me a whole bag of them, but because I love them first. Then I said, hey, Tacony, send me a whole bag of them. So I use them, and they're foam, but they're not memory foam. Like, you don't squeeze it and it remembers. It just pops back out, and that means you can just put them in your ear, take them out of your ear. You don't have to do that thing where you roll it and you just had Cheetos and then you got Cheeto dust and you're putting Cheeto dust in your ear and then you got an ear infection and you happen to be in Mexico with your girlfriend and you got an ear infection in Mexico and now they're gonna the donkey's bringing the medicine to Mexico and oh my God, you can't hear anymore and you lose sight in your left eye. You don't want that. That's why I like these over the Comply tips. They are the best sound isolating head IEMs I've ever used. And I've used a lot. Like, I use a bunch, and I'll use them if I'm walking around in my apartment or if I'm going on a trip somewhere. And sometimes if I'm being a real bad person, I will wear them while I'm actually in my car. Because it's just, if I'm going on like an 8-hour drive somewhere and I'm on a big empty highway and my stereo doesn't have an auxiliary port, maybe I'll put on the fucking KSC75s and then I hear my car go drown. And then I'll take those off because I know, and I put these in for a short trip, like an hour. And I was just, I actually drove my car faster because I was wearing these because I couldn't hear the engine note. I just hit the pedal and the car go fast. I was like, oh, and then I took them out because, you know, police and you don't want to get, what's that tacking sound? Is it, oh my, so it's not safe to drive with things in your ears, kiddies. All right. I'm a professional asshole. Don't do what Zeos does. But that did allow me to find out that these are some of the best noise isolating IMs I ever made. And it's got to be because of the double chamber and the fact that they're cast metal, that it's literally, because you could see the split. This split is one half and the other half is in the front. So it's blocking sound. Then the driver in there is fucking made out of diamond-like carbon, whatever the principles of that are. And then you got another metal thing, and then you get these tips on there, and these tips are basically like perfect for going to the shooting range. And the most private experience you'll ever have wearing IEMs, at least for now. I'm sure there's something coming out that's going to be way more intense. Now, they are costly compared to like the entry-level tin T2s, so are they worth more than that? Yeah. What the tin T2s is amazing. The fact that you can grab an IEM for $50 fucking and put them in your ears, and literally everything else in the price range up to $150, up to $100 how much do these cost? $179.80. Everything up to $179.79. Just get a tin T2. That's it. You're good. You're golden. You've accomplished all you need to do in IEMs as far as getting them where they're just the right amount of treble and imaging and the bass is just slightly elevated for that, a bit of fun. And then the very next step, the very fucking next step, Moondrops. Kanas. Kanas, like cannabis, but not cannabis. Hold on, I have the, like I said, worst box ever. I love how everything's in Chinese. They are 320 ohms. Is that really? Oh, 32 ohms. Who does that? Who writes 320 HM at? I'm like, what the hell is going on? 32 ohms, about 110 decibel. Kanas Pro. These are the Pro, by the way. There is a non-Pro, which has a black wire. And I'm not sure if the tuning is different, because I only have these to play with. So I'm going to recommend these, but you could search them out on Amazon for like $30 less. I hope to Christ that you people understand when I bring an IEM out, when I've got daily videos going, yeah, THEEZE goes, but I still need to clear that table. So if I'm going to talk about an IEM individually for an entire 24-hour period and use that wallpaper, not just because Moondrop, but you had better understand what's going on with these. They're one of my favorite IEMs. If I pull out the FH5s, I want big, wide soundstage, relaxed bass. I want to run the jewels. I pull these out. It's basically every genre sounds great on them. Everything, classical, female vocals, orchestral jazz, metal. Well, actually, if you get very, very sibilant metal and you put these up loud enough, you might catch that hint of like no. But it's not like something you can't just fix by lowering your volume a little bit. That's the only flaw in them, is that if you push them super hard, and I tend to do that, you might drudge up some sibilants, but only in certain tracks. It's not every track. These are not sibilant IMs. They're amazing for a single driver. Now, they're expensive. They're not something that's like, oh, just buy these. When I did the BG VPs, I was disappointed by them. I was less disappointed by the DMGs with the replaceable things, but they still didn't like blow me away to the point of like, oh, everyone needs to own these. I think everyone needs to own these. These are the next step. These are the next evolution in IM going forward, because now that we've got tin T2s covering the low end, these covering like that, it's $600 IMs are these. It's gonna be something like these. I haven't met the $600 IM that makes it worth $600 yet. How's that? Because all these low end, I mean, it's still $180, and a lot of people are going, wow, it's expensive, yes. But in the world of I have a $2,000 set of IMs, these are low end or entry level. And in that world, I don't see $600 IMs being worth it. Like, literally, Andromedas are over there, and I'm like, yeah, I guess the Andromedas might have a little more, I think it's tuning at this point. I think it might be just tuning. Which tuning do you prefer? Because they both sound fucking amazing. I'm going to straighten this out. These are IM reviews. I can't make an IM review like, 22 minutes long? 22 minutes is what I'm calling right now. If you have tin T2s, or you've had other things, or your budget is just like, hey, Zeos, I've got a $250 budget, and I want to buy an IM, and I don't want to spend $50 on a tin T2. I'd rather, spend more. I finally can, with confidence, tell you, buy these. They're better than the tin T2s. Because other than the tin T2s, it was basically FH5s were my next, things I actually liked. Not just something I was like, oh, this is good. This is good. Things I would actually throw at people. This is the next logical step. And hopefully hopefully the next thing I review will be like $400 or $500 and be worth like $2,000, and then everything just starts shifting down. And then my $2,000 fucking 64 audio U12Ts, maybe someday I'm gonna get a goddamn IM that came, oh, by the way, we just released this, and it's only like $600, and it's just as good. So yes. Wallpaper is available in the description. That is all. Link to these, link to the Tin T2s, link to the FH5s. Basically, I'm building my own. You want to know of Arzeos, if you've never been to Reddit. Arzeos has been my recommendation subreddit from the dawn of time. And I make the lists, and I try to keep them updated, but they take forever. And I'm going to eventually have an IEM one. And there's going to be a Hall of Fame IEMs, and there's going to be the rest of them that are still good. And these are a Hall of Fame IEM. These go right up there with, like, wow, they hit way above their price range. Regardless of the shitty bag and the lackluster box and nothing but Chinese paraphernalia. What's it called? Goodbye. Goodbye. Daily videos. Got to make these short. Download her. Click that. If you want to join the Patreon, usually things end up in a yard sale. I got quite a number of stuff here that'll be in a yard sale. Don't think the Meze Imperiums are making it. This is mostly borrowed from users, but there's other little things dotted around that are probably going to end up being sold. And if you're part of the Patreon, for $5 a month, you get to bid on those things. For $10 a month, you get to join a private Telegram chat and ask me questions directly. You can still ask me questions at the $5 tier. You just have to type it out on Patreon, and it takes me like 5 days to get back to you, because that is a very large list of questions. Yeah, that's basically it. I hope you, if you own these, tell me what you think in the comments. If you hate them and you think I'm a baddie, by all means, punch me in the neck. All right? Pay me $300 and punch me in the neck. That's the way it works. Right? Goodbye, 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 goodbye.